Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to the Spaceship of Mysteries, hosted by divisionradio.net. This is Evan Saron, presenter of the program. As every week, we are here to talk about a topic which I hope will warm your heart. Today's topic is the Summon of Wisdom. Although that is the title of the topic, mainly we will talk about love. Love is chastity, purity, loyalty, and infinite tenderness. Love is a little child with golden wings who dwells in the hearts of human beings. It is necessary to reflect on this to understand it. In these times, humanity is immersed in so many problems. Not shortly after one problem ends, a new one comes up. One problem follows another one indefinitely. It certainly looks like an endless situation. Life is full of problems, and the key is to face them, to solve them. What do we need to solve all of these problems? The answer is wisdom. And where do we find wisdom? We find it in our hearts. That is why the heart is called the summon of wisdom. To begin our discussion, first, we need to understand what love is. Love is something very profound. We all think we understand what love is, but another thing is to comprehend it. One understands that one must love, but it's very difficult when there's comprehension about it. When one comprehends, there's a happiness in the heart, there's peace, serenity, and that creates a new state of being and a new frame of mind. This is what we're going to talk about today. Unquestionably, there is fear and dependency, but these are different from love. We tend to mistake these feelings for love. Students depend on their parents and teachers for protection, and they respect and fear them. But protection, respect, and fear are not love. One might think it is love, but it is not. To talk about this, it is necessary to call ourselves into quietness. This is a wonderful topic, and if we learn to love profoundly, we will learn how to live life. He who learns how to love will know how to even avoid dangers. Whom we could look at to show us how to learn what true love is? We should turn to Jesus, Plato, Leonardo da Vinci, Dante Alighieri, Buddha, Martin Luther King, Gandhi. There are many others to add to our list. All of them really knew how to love. For example, children may trust their friends more. Children could tell their friends their most intimate situations, things that they would not share with their parents. But there's a big difference between respect, fear, and attachment, and love. Love and respect should be intimately linked. One does not understand why children do not go closer to their parents. We're going to shed some light into it. First, it's necessary to acknowledge the state of our very own inner light. This inner light would reveal what is in our most innermost. To do this, it is very relevant because this inner light will let us rescue what is real. It is impossible to guide our loved ones in the absence of true love. The path that leads into the abyss is paved with good intentions. We are not always aiming to love selflessly. We think we are in a state of giving love, but we would be astonished to find out that we are not. And in the state of deceitfulness, we make many mistakes. It's not only parents who make mistakes, but also teachers, bosses. We all make mistakes. We can observe those who are called rebels without a cause. Many of them were kids who were spoiled and pampered. In many cases, the outcome of that upbringing style is that they become thieves, criminals, gang members, hackers, people without a sense of respect. One must ask, what went wrong? Most probably, the answer is that we missed to give them real love. If we knew how to love our children and loved ones, to guide them wisely, life would be very different. We must acknowledge that as parents, as brothers, as friends, we do not have enough wisdom to guide our loved ones wisely. It is hard to accept that we lack wisdom. It just takes a look back into the past and we see the amount of mistakes. But the worst is that we keep on making the same mistakes over and over. The only way to stop this cycle is by becoming conscious that we lack wisdom. When we talk about modern parents, we have to start saying they're in the race of fulfillment of instant gratification for their children. They pursue giving their kids more and more. They work so hard to provide their children with all kinds of brand name items. As an outcome, children end up desiring more and more. Parents find themselves not only working for more than 40 hours a week, but now they have to work 50 or even more. They get credit cards to buy the best of the best for their children. They buy super expensive clothes, cars, the latest cell phones. And do you know what becomes of our children when we do this? We turn them into automatons. And why do we turn our children into automatons? We turn them into robots and didn't even realize it. We don't even get together in our own families anymore. Social networks are contributing to this issue by absorbing and substituting family activities for a screen. What are social networks? Basically, it's filled with garbage. So we ask, would you leave the door of your house completely open and unattended? Do you know who is watching? Would you tell anyone where you live? Would you talk to anyone on the other side of the screen as if that person is your best friend? Would you believe everything that they say? We should also ask, would you let a stranger copy your pictures? Would you like everyone to know all of your personal things? We should say no to all of these questions. But if you have an open profile on the web, you are allowing anyone to know all of that personal information. How many times have you received requests of people to be added as friends who you don't even recognize their names, and their faces are not even familiar? You're certain you have never seen them before. There's no connection whatsoever. But once you register on a website, it is no longer private information. You could have a picture on your profile that you would not show to your parents, but as it is posted, anyone can see it. This has reached extreme situations. People have used the channel of social media to abuse the information of graphics out there. Nowadays, even a kid can change a picture of someone posted and misuse it with the means of causing harm. This is what is called bullying, and it has increased with social media. The world of the internet is not safe at all. You would not like a pervert to see a picture of yours. We should keep our lives private, and we should not expose them publicly. It is indispensable to realize that we need more wisdom to guide our loved ones in this time of superficiality. Modern life is like a puddle, without depth and without wisdom. In a puddle with no depth, when the rays of the sun shine and the water is evaporated, what is left is mud. Therefore, we must stay attentive. It is impossible to comprehend the beauty of life if we have not learned how to truly love. And this is the message that we want to leave with you today. We must fall in love with life. We must fall in love with our home and with our loved ones. If we comprehend how to love, this world would be a true paradise. We would like to illustrate the power of love by telling a Mexican legend known as the Volcanoes in Love, or the legend of Popocatépetl and the Sleeping Woman. These two volcanoes, the Popocatépetl and the Ixtlahuac, are located in Mexico. It is said from a distance one is able to see the outline of the volcano Ixtlahuac resembling the shape of a woman. Let's begin. Thousands of years ago, when the Aztec Empire was reigning, they practically oppressed the rest of the people in the neighboring valleys and imposed a mandatory tax. The chief of the Tlaxcaltecas, who were the enemies of the Aztecs, decided to free his people. The chief had a daughter named Ixtlahuac, who was the most beautiful princess. She professed her love for the young, handsome Popocatépetl, one of her father's brave warriors. Both professed a deep love for each other. So, before leaving for war, Popocatépetl asked the chief for the hand of the princess. The story says that the chief approved of the matrimony and promised to welcome him back with a big celebration to give him his daughter's hand if he returned victorious from the battle. The brave warrior accepted, prepared everything, and departed keeping in his heart the promise that the princess would be waiting for him to consummate their love. Soon afterwards, a love rival of Popocatépetl, who was jealous of the love they professed to each other, told the princess that her beloved had died in combat. Crushed by sadness, the princess died without even realizing it was a lie. Popocatépetl returned victorious from the war, hoping to find his beloved princess. Upon arrival, he received the terrible news of the death of his beloved. Devastated by the news, he wandered about the streets of the town for many days and nights, until he decided he had to do something to honor her love and to assure that the princess would never be forgotten. So he ordered a great tomb to be built under the sun, piling 10 hills together to form a big mountain. He carried the body of his beloved princess in his arms, took her to the summit, and laid her on the great mountain. The young warrior lovingly kissed her cold lips, took a smoking torch, and, kneeling in front of her beloved to watch her over her eternal sleep. From then on, they would remain together, facing each other. Over time, snow covered their bodies, forming 2 enormous volcanoes that would remain together until the end of time. The legend goes on to say that when the warrior Popocatépetl remembers his beloved, his heart, which preserves the fire of eternal passion, shakes, and his torch smokes. That is why, even today, the Popocatépetl volcano continues being fumaroles. The legend has something more profound, which we'll be talking about today. In Indonesia, the volcano Krakatoa erupted in 1816. The temperature of the planet decreased. History said that when the volcano erupted, it could be heard from 600 kilometers of distance. People nearby had their eardrums ruptured. The eruption produced tsunamis, with waves of over 49 meters tall. What happened in 2018? It erupted again. It produced tsunamis all over the coast of Sumatra, and approximately 400 to 500 people died. So here comes an interesting fact. Right after the Popocatépetl turned active, other volcanoes followed, becoming active as well. Approximately 15 volcanoes became active, along with Krakatoa. The Pacific Ring of Fire has become active for unknown reasons. My dear friends from the Vision Radio, the fact that the most dangerous volcanoes have become active is not normal. Volcano Krakatoa is the most dangerous volcano, and it is becoming active and will continue erupting. Everything points out that Popocatépetl will erupt, as well as Iztaccíhuatl. When they do, there will be a lot of damage, but it will also bring a spiritual awakening for many people around the world. These volcanic events will instill the awakening of love in many people around the world. If you open your eyes and look around, you may perceive that there is an awakening of love in many souls. Perhaps it has helped that people had to stay home forcibly, and we have looked for refuge in people's hearts who live around us. Right now, it could be that you are going through the exact same thing. Is this happening to you? And do you feel the awakening of love for the people who you are sharing closely with? Love is purity, fidelity, infinite tenderness. Love is a child with golden wings that dwells in the heart. Unfortunately, sometimes it is not available to us, and we have to work hard to rescue this child because, though we do not see it, its manifestations are quite constant. Our children fear the whip. They fear their teachers and parents' punishments. The parents fear other people's perceptions of their children. People fear their bosses and supervisors. They fear the possibility of losing their jobs. People think they love their bosses, but what they really feel is fear and not love. Many people fear death, but they do not realize death does not hurt. What hurts is sickness. So let's talk about death. Because it turns out they're angels. There are different kinds of angels performing different roles. They're angels of joy, they're angels of justice, law, mercy, they're angels of life, they're angels of love as well. There are also angels that we might not like to think about. We might even prefer to pretend to ignore them. These are the angels of death. These angels have uniforms that look in accordance to their task. Their uniforms are black. When one of these angels goes to someone who has been suffering so much in the physical body, the angel of death takes him away with infinite compassion and love. The angel of death liberates the person from physical pain. This is the kind of love we do not understand. We resist to capture this profound act of love the angels of death perform with infinite love. They take away a person who has suffered so much. There is a mystery about death. When a person dies from natural causes, this is the process the physical body goes through. Firstly, the person is abandoned by the element of earth. This is when the person has no strength to remain standing or to move their body. Secondly, the person is abandoned by the element of fire. This person feels cold, then hot for brief moments. Thirdly, the person is abandoned by the element of water. This is when a person can't hold their liquids. Finally, the person is abandoned by the element of air. This is when the person loses their breath of life and dies. There is much wisdom in all of this. We must reflect if we want to achieve changes in our lives. Let's continue talking about love and its mysteries. Most of us believe we love God, but we do not really love God. Rather, we fear God. If we really loved God, there would be no much cruelty in the whole world. There would not be struggles and conflicts between rich and poor, between parents and their children, between siblings. If we loved God, there would be no conflicts in our homes. There would be no wars between nations. Let's recognize our lack of love, which is so much as our lack of wisdom. Let's observe how the great law works, which is basically cause and effect on events. When we talk about the great law, we talk about love. So we must reflect what is happening now about coronavirus. Let's see how it has a positive side. Let's take, for example, Venice, Italy. One positive side about coronavirus can be seen in the Venice canals, which are clean, whereas in the past they were polluted and with unpleasant smells. Now, the water in Venice canals are cleaner thanks to the absence of tourists. There are less boats, the water is clear. We must mention that carbon dioxide emissions have been dramatically decreasing as a result of coronavirus confinement. CO2 is deadly to nature. We know that in China, as well as in other parts of the world, the CO2 emissions reductions as a result of confinement and lockdowns has temporarily reverted climate change issues. We have even heard that wild animals have been spotted, such as wild pigs in Barcelona, a puma in the streets of Chile. A bear was seen in the streets of Spain. Many wild animals have been wandering in major cities around the world as a result of global confinement from coronavirus. Animals and nature are happy. If you don't believe me, I encourage you, go out at night and see if you can see the dark smoke and the dark clouds. The sky is clear with an intense blue color. Animals are taking ground while humans have to retreat to the shelter from coronavirus. So I ask, who is coronavirus from nature's point of view? Could it be us? Let us reflect on the great law. We have said that it means cause and effect. When we say both great law and cause and effect, we are talking about what love is about. Let's analyze what is happening. Looks like we are imprisoned. We have been confined because we contaminate, damage, and destroy. We cannot even breathe freely. We had to wear face covers that cover our noses and mouths. This condition makes us anxious and in despair. All of this makes us feel like we have lost control. We cannot remain calm, and therefore we fall into crisis. Nevertheless, our leader tells us that the economy is first, then whatever else. At least, that is the case in the United States of America. It is necessary to talk about what does not let love flourish. It is key for human beings to liberate themselves from hard situations. It is key to find love, and love can be found in prayers, in meditation, in serene reflection, in inner silence. Love is found in learning how to remain passive, in learning how to remain calm when being offended, in learning to be humble, to remain relaxed and not to contribute with more fire in heated confrontations. There is a lot of fire and problems in the world now. Psychological slavery depends on something or someone. That is the fear of losing something or someone. For example, the husband suffers when his wife is giving birth. He suffers and he thinks he does because he loves his wife. However, he fears he could lose her. He fears to lose the partner that gives him care and company. That is not love, it is fear. The most powerful countries of the world are preparing for nuclear war. I ask, does war bring peace? Of course not. It brings more countries to get involved, and it just makes things worse. War is a display of hate, which is the opposite of love. War is the opposite of the summon of wisdom, which is love. In times of war, wives fear losing their husbands, but in reality, it is not that they love them. Simply, they fear being left without a partner, without protection. Everyone says they love everybody. Unfortunately, that is not love. It is extremely rare to find someone who knows how to truly love. It is very sad to say this, but it is true, however unfortunate. Similarly, it is extremely rare to find someone truly happy because no one really knows how to truly love. If we ever know someone who really loves, that would be really marvelous. We actually do love, but it's only for a very brief instant, and that marks our lives. If we truly loved one another, wars would not exist. Wars would be 100% impossible. What happens is that we do not comprehend what love is. We confuse love with psychological slavery, attachment, passions. If people knew how to love, we would live in paradise. Everyone wants to live in paradise, but without love, we cannot make paradise for any of our homes, our cities, or our countries. We are not talking about money, because in order to love, we only need bread, clothing, and shelter. Unfortunately, in these modern times, we require the internet and things like that. Note the compassion that the divinity has on us. It gives us all of these gifts, but we do not comprehend how this giving works. Lovers think they are in love, but that is just passion, and in the worst case, lust. Once the passion is consummated, the house of cards falls along with the presumed love. Passion tricks the mind and the heart. All lovers think they are in love, and they even swear of being in love, but it's nothing more than just very strong sexual desire used incorrectly. It is extremely rare to see a couple who is truly in love. Many artists and singers talk about love, but they do not know what love is. They confuse love for passion. Passion, which is dominated by lust, is a very subtle venom. Passion is sexual 100%. Passion is not love. They are two different things. Unfortunately, love is an element that is not in abundance in all human beings, nor is it something like a fragrance that one can buy at a store or mall. The good news, here among us, is that love is hidden in the bottom of the heart of each human being. That is where love dwells. Love must be born within ourselves. Love is born when we deeply comprehend the source of hate, fear, loss, and psychological attachments we carry inside. It is impossible to change the world without the flare of love. Only genuine love can change the world. Thus, we must make the effort to dedicate ourselves to love, love, and love. We ought to make the effort to live from virtue to virtue, connect with humanity with hope, and to multiply our virtues. It is unpostponable for the human being to keep from multiplying love. Love and love infinitely. When you love, when you're multiplied by love, incredible miracles happen in your life. Those who love and love may become a wizard, a great wizard, such as Moses and his staff that opened the seas, like wizards such as Merlin, who became a great magician. Magic is among us, and it is love. We must look for it within us. It is the salvation of humankind. Love is what we need in any hard situation in our lives. We need to love profoundly. It is necessary to live in the summons of the wisdom. And as my friend Samael says, love, how beautiful it is to love, but only the great souls know how to truly love. Have a great afternoon. This is Ivan Seron, talking to you in the Spaceship of Mysteries, which will be back next Wednesday with another mystery dwelling in your